These are your intake runners. They go straight to your cylinder heads, okay? This part right here is very important. And welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining me. You've seen by the thumbnail, this is going to be for the 2021 Chevy Blazer, which is what I think is going to differentiate whether it has the V6 or the 4 cylinders. But regardless, the process is relatively. So like I said, coil packs and spark plugs. This is the kit that I went with right here. Again, a premium. Pretty nice presentation anyway as far as the kit goes. Got all 6 of the coil packs and all 6 of the spark plugs. It did say that they are pre-gapped and they are the iridium tips. Let's see if we can get it right there. So decent pick. The iridium tips is pretty good. That's what you would like to have nowadays anyway. And then these are your coil packs. 1 bolt to take those out, but we'll get into that. So let's go ahead and get the vehicle in here. First thing you're going to want to do, well, you know what? I'm going to work on it out there. First thing you're going to want to do is pop the hood, but note that you don't want the engine hot. So let it sit for a little bit, cool down and everything. The components that's in there. So let's pop the hood and get started. All right, here we are at the front of the motor. First thing that we're going to want to unhook are the hose clamps. This will be a 7mm, 1 and 2. Go ahead and loosen those up. You don't have to fully take them out. Just make sure they're loose enough to where you can move. The next thing you're going to want to do is pull out this 10mm. This will loosen all the way, but it won't come out. That's fine. Just leave it in there. But once that's loosened up and these 2 hose clamps are loosened up, we got to focus on the back. Once you get in the back right here, this vacuum line, safety clip on it, it's just spring loaded. Push up from the bottom here and then pull, just kind of hinge it out of the way. And then you got 1 more 7mm right back here. Again, you don't have to take it all the way off, just loosen it. Once that's all completed, you should be able to kind of maneuver and unhook everything. Keep in mind, this and this one, they're just kind of like, they kind of clip in and they just clip out. This little elbow that kind of sticks in this rubber grommet. So just tug on it a few times, it'll come out. Go ahead and set this piece off to the side. Your next step is going to be unplugging this right here. Again, red tab, you're going to want to pull that red tab out this way and then push down. There's a little black tab right there. Push that down and unhook it. And then this hose right down here, this is another vacuum line. Again, it's got that gray springy part on there. Unhook it just like that. This one as well, it's got a red tab on it. Pull that red tab out this way. Push that black tab down. That way you unhook. We'll set these wires kind of off to the side. Next, you want to take a T25. You can use a screwdriver. I'm going to use a socket. And you're going to pull off 1, 2, 3, 4 of these T25 bolts to relieve that cover. Keep in mind, this one is for this sensor. So when you take that off, you can pop this sensor out. Right over here for this vacuum hose, you have like a hold down bracket. I use a pick, the flathead screwdriver. You'll see this tab right here. You're gonna want to kind of push that in, so like a door, and then pull that out of there. That way this is free to move out of the way. Don't put it under some immense tension or nothing, just kind of stick it out of the way. At that point, this cover should be able to lift up. Just like so. Again, put that off to the side. As well as this insulation. Put that off to the side. Once that's all taken off, the next step, you're going to have your throttle body here. It's going to have this gray tab. Again, pull that out this way. It's just no different than the red one. It's just gray. Pull it up that way, and then you should be able to push down on it and unhook it. Okay, that's going to allow all this to come off as one unit. You got another plug down here. You don't have to worry about that. Just the throttle body. Right after that, we got a series of 13mm bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're going to want to loosen those off. I'm not going to use my impact for that. I will use a ratchet for that. I don't want to put any knocking and any stress on that. I want to be able to feel what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen all those up. These bolts also stay on this. They don't come all the way out, but you'll feel it when they're all the way loosened. So go ahead and loosen all those up. I'd like to note that this bolt down here is a 10mm. Before you remove this, you got 2 more bolts back here. Let me show you those. Be these right here, 1, and then 2 right here. This is a crossover for your coolant line. So it's hooked onto this manifold part. We'll just pull those out. 10mm. It's only the 2, and then you can kind of move this line out of the way. Those practice I like to normally do is, if I can, I'll put the bolts right back where I found them. That way I know which ones go where and I don't lose them and lose track of what I'm doing. So this is your intake manifold, okay? There's going to be gaskets right here, these green gaskets. Try not to damage those. Okay, once you made it this far, great. These are your intake runners. They go straight to your cylinder heads, okay? This part right here is very important. So you're going to need to block those off. If you drop anything down in there, it could potentially be catastrophic for the motor. So what I'm going to use are shop rags. You can get them, lately I've been buying them at Walmart. You can get a whole roll, I think 50 for probably about 20 bucks. So I'm going to pull off 6 of these and then put it down in those cylinders. Okay, got the rags right here. And when you put these in there, you don't have to be crazy aggressive. Okay, you're just preventing stuff from, okay, I'm not even shoving the whole rag in there. What you want to do is just make sure that bolts, stuff like that, does not fall in there. A little bit of dust and stuff, nothing really you can do about that. Try not to shove leaves and acorns down there. Try not to drop your, your ring. You know what I mean? Your hearing aid, you don't want to drop that down in there. All right, just like that. Then one more. A little bit of fuzz ain't really gonna bother nothing either. Okay, so if you've seen my coolant temperature sensor video, that was right there. You'll also see that I did this as well, but I kind of put them in there a lot more. That's because I needed access in there, so I want to make sure this was as cleaned up as possible. This will definitely be just sufficient. So right here, these are coil packs. So these are like insulators, kind of protectants. Okay, so this is a molded piece. What we're going to do here, you can kind of tell. If you want to label them, go right on ahead. Nothing wrong with that. These are your coil packs. They also have those red tabs on them again. the safety lock tabs. Pull them out towards you, just like that. Okay, I'm going to unhook all three right now. It's got that little black tab right behind the red plug. Unhook it. Try not to yank on the wires too much. You know, you don't want to break them. They're kind of durable, but they can also be brittle. 2, and then 3. So the good thing about them giving you just enough wire is just so you don't mess up which coil packs you're plugging in. All right, now as you can tell, we have a couple things preventing from this thing coming off completely. So we do have this sensor right here. Not sure what sensor that is, but it also has a red plug on it, or safety tab. Pull that out towards you. Unhook that as well. If at any moment you need to go back on the video when you go to put this together, find out what stuff you unplugged and where it went, definitely do it. Okay, so this is your wire harness. These are just hold downs, okay? They're nothing, the gray things, they're just hold downs, nothing crazy. If you got a tool like this, a trim panel tool or something, I like the metal ones. I said it before in the past. The metal ones are a little bit more rigid, but you want to kind of find out where that parting line is on it. There you go, just pop it out. Okay, one more right here. Get right between it. This one's a little bit more stubborn. Just like that, okay? Pulls right out. And go ahead and just kind of guide that cable over there. Kind of had to use 2 hands to do it, but all you're going to want to do is take your oil cap off, and then you should be able. Try and be careful with this. It's molded, but it's also like a foam, so you don't want to rip it. And just like that, put that off to the side as well. Just as important as it is for your intake runners, you're going to want to put this oil cap back on just so you don't drop anything down there on accident, because that goes down to all of your internals in your motor. You don't want anything in there foreign. All right, here we are. Coil packs. We're going to. Okay, guys, my phone was dying, so I went ahead and did the rest off camera, and now I'm back. I still got low percent, but I got to get this going. So here is that rear insulation cover. Back over here, there's a few other sensors that needed unhooked. That way I could take this out. This stuff will tear easily if it's your vehicle and you feel like, instead of, you know, dealing with all the sensors and plugs and stuff to pull this out nicely, and you just rather tear it, that's completely on you. I'm not going to demonstrate that because I want to demonstrate on how to do this correctly as if it was in a shop. So you wouldn't want to tear the customer's vehicle apart, even if it's yours. But again, if you want to do it, that's on you. The sensors that I had to unplug in order to get that off is this one. So right here is where it's plugged in, and right down here is where this one was plugged in, and pretty sure that's it. As far as these gray clips go, this one did break, but there was 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one right here, or 5, sorry. This one was here on top of these sensors that came undone. So everything you can see that's moved up to over here, and then the foam part, this part right here, slides on line right here. The line doesn't have to come off, it slides underneath it over here. So you got to fish it to kind of get it out of there. But again, I'm not going to demonstrate, you know, sloppy work. But now here's the good part. Now we're just at the coil packs and spark plugs. So now we move on going forward. These should be, yeah, I wanted to confirm, these are all 10 millimeter. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I like to just do one at a time. That way, I mean, I know we got red ones, and the new ones tend to look new and you could tell the difference, but I just like to do one at a time. So it's very repetitive. It's the same steps. We're going to do it here. We're going to start with this one, 10 millimeter. We're going to loosen that bolt all the way out. I don't think they come all the way out either though, but we're going to loosen that all the way, and then the entire coil pack should pull up. Might have to twist it, finagle it a little bit, but it should just pull. just like that. This is what you're going to end up with. Now we go after the spark plug. For the spark plug, I'm going to be using a 14mm socket. There is spark plug sockets that you can get that actually have this rubber piece in it. So when you go over it, it kind of goes around the spark plug, kind of like a rubber boot. And then when you loosen it all the way, it pulls the spark plug out with you. I don't have that. It's probably something I ought to invest in, but I'm so used to using just a magnet. I'll loosen it all the way and I'll just reach down there and pull it out with a magnet. So when you see me doing this step, that's all that is just me retrieving the spark plug. So for now, 14mm, it should not take a whole lot of force. It's just loosening it, and then once you loosen it, and here it is. This is the spark plug that I took out. Not too bad. See a little bit of oil on it. Yeah, so it has a slight sputter at idle, a little bit at takeoff. I don't know if it's this, the valve covers leaking oil, not sure. It could just be at its end time. So we're just going to replace all the spark plugs and wires. So and here's the new one. So I like to note right here, this part's stirred. So what you're screwing into is a cast aluminum block. And that cast aluminum block, it will strip. Now, it's not something to freak out over, but just, again, don't give it all your might. But when you tighten it, just understand that when it's tight, it's tight. You want it tight. Don't get me wrong. Don't be scared to actually tighten it up, but you don't want to overkill it. Because that tapered part, usually some spark plugs, they'll have like a crush washer. This one does not have one, so you won't feel it seat and crush in there. So this tapered part is actually what you're fitting into the tapered part on the head. Just tighten it. Also fair to note, you don't want to just drop them in there and let them slam, because if it doesn't line up all the way, you can bend this little arm right here and it'll close in on the gap between the gap and the electrode. You don't want to do all that. Just kind of gently lower it in there. Another important thing to mention, you might have already done this before. You might just be looking at how to change or get to these spark plugs, or this is your first time. So for you, that if it's your first time, just understand too, do this by hand. When you put that in there, nice trick that I like to do is once I'm over the spark plug or any bolt, once you know that the threads are begun and you're not cross-threading it, then do it all by hand. Always do it by hand until you can't turn it no more with your hand. You'll feel it go all the way. If you just go straight to it with an impact, it could be crooked and you could be cross-threading it and forcing it in there. That's the last thing you want to do with this bolt especially, but almost any bolt. You don't want to cross-thread it. So just go in, go backwards until it seats down, then just tighten it all the way by hand like I did there. Now I'm good enough to use my ratchet. So again, when I put the ratchet on there, I'm going to tighten it. I'm going to know when it's tight. I don't want it too loose, but again, you don't need to go overkill. Just like that. If I were to guess, I'm probably putting maybe 25 foot-pounds of torque, probably. Nothing crazy on it. Next, you get your coil pack. This one is the new one that came with the kit. That was a new plug, new coil pack. So nothing too different here. Obviously, make sure it's, you know, the same style, same shape, which it is. Okay. Some people put dielectrode grease on it. You don't really need to worry about that. It prevents moisture, but that's what this design and this part right here, it keeps all that stuff out of there. So just make sure you put it down all the way and then you push it. You'll feel it seat on top of the spark plug. This should fit relatively flush with the top of the valve cover. Also, you see how this is kind of like a dish. This goes around the ring. Okay, you just want to make sure that nothing's folded up underneath like this. You know, when you're pinching it and stuff like that, just put it in there and make sure it's. There you have it. There's one down, 5 more to go. Same steps, guys. Just 10mm, loosen it, pull it out, loosen the spark plug, retrieve the spark plug, gently drop the new one in backwards until you feel it drop, then thread it all the way by hand and then tighten it. Don't overkill it. Put on the new coil and then tighten it all the way down. Again, don't over tighten this either because it's still cast aluminum. And then move on to the next one. Don't plug any of them in until we get to the next step. That's important that that happens. And there we have it. That's all 6 of them. New plugs, new coil packs. Yeah, it's a shame that you gotta cover those back up with the, you know, foam things, but it does look cool meanwhile, right? Makes for a good thumbnail. So once this is complete, that's it. And I'd like to note, you've seen, I think it was this one right here, when I pulled the spark plug out, it slipped out of my hand and it dropped down there. Yes, I was able to retrieve it pretty easily, but that's why I cover up the intake runners. Who knows, it could have went in there. Anything else could have went in there. That's why that's just important. So let me be the example to show you why you do that. And I'm glad it happened. So now we just go ahead and reassemble. Might as well start with the back and work our way up. Again, that foam cover, if you did it completely and didn't rip it, it'll go over here. You're going to fish it around this right here and underneath this hose. And then you rehook up all the sensors. And then you'll do the same for up front. So it's just the same as taking it apart, just in reverse. So I'm just going to... I will note, make sure all of these gaskets are okay and they're in their little spots and they're not hanging out or missing. Okay, when you put it down in here, same rule applies like the spark plugs. Like I said, it pertains to all bolts. Go backwards a couple times until you feel it seat down in there so you don't cross thread these, because this is part of your intake system. Very important that it has no leaks. So take your time. All right, tell you what, just so we're all on track here, let's walk through some steps. Let's just make sure, let's double check everything that we did. Plugged in all the sensors back there, the 3 coil packs, the 2 or 3 over here, remounted the harness, same thing with up here, the gray tabs, the 3 coil packs. Then when we put the plenum back on, which is this, we tighten down all 9, the 10mm, and then the 8 13mm up here. Now I don't know if you noticed, but I started from the center, I crossed it, and then I went to the outer ones. So I hand tighten them all in that sequence. I tighten them in that sequence and then retighten them. Don't overkill. Once again, cast aluminum, don't overkill it, but make sure it's tight because you don't want leaks from this. Then after that, I plugged in my throttle body, and then don't forget about this coolant rail. So the 2 10mm there, and then we should be good from that point. Now We will put on this insulation cover. We'll put that next one on. We'll feed that over here, plug these in. Okay, here we are, second part of that review. Make sure when you put this on, you'll line it up with those pulls back here, push it down, you'll feel it snap. You have this last hose back here / vacuum line with the hose clamp, 7mm there. This vacuum line on the valve cover back here in that corner. These two hose clamps, again, make sure they're not pinched, make sure they're all the way around it. You don't want any leaks. And then this 10mm right here. And that should be everything. I could be missing a couple. I don't know if I mentioned these right here, but you got these two plugs. And that one. So other than that, that's everything. So there it is. Running on all 6, nice and smooth. Nice and quiet. Job well done. So I'm kind of losing daylight over here, so I apologize if that last bit seemed a little rushed. Like I said, putting it back together is just the opposite of taking it apart. Just make sure, I know guys, I know there's a lot of sensors and a lot of those vacuum tubes to try and remember. Just make sure they're in your sight. You plug them in. Unfortunately, if you get all the way done and it doesn't start run right, you know you missed something. So just make sure to keep an eye on those and review it and go back in this video if you need to. With all that said, any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I'm usually pretty good at responding, definitely within an hour or so. And any other tips, actually, if anybody has any. So there you go, coils and plugs. I really appreciate the support, the feedback from all you guys. Means a lot. Seems like I'm helping a lot of people with some of this stuff. This is definitely a job that I know that they will charge you, in my opinion, overcharge you to get done. Now, some people don't want the risk and just rather send it into a shop to get done. Definitely something you can do in the driveway, guys. This video is very stretched out. I could definitely get this job done. I'm a little bit more experienced than you know, somebody that hasn't done it, so I can get this job done definitely within an hour. I'm very confident that the rest of you guys can too. If you're looking to save a couple extra bucks and stuff like that, I mean, even if you don't find it worth it, go get it quoted, find out how much it's worth. I will leave the kit that I used for the coil packs and plugs, I'll leave down in the description below. If you can beat that with a quote, getting it done elsewhere versus the price of the kit and maybe an hour or so of your time at your